She was the most amazing woman. She paid her life forward. She was so kind and so loving. And to the very end, she never stopped learning and she never stopped trying to be better. Dear Diary, it's June 13th, 1980. Dear Lord, may you send me a sign on what I am to do with my life. I am a woman just drifting now. I take care of my dogs, my husband, my home, and my gardens. But there has to be something more. There just has to be. I am so happy to see you today. Thank you so much for coming back and seeing me and Desi. I hope you had a good, safe week. I had kind of a crazy week. They're putting on a new roof here, so it's just 12 hours a day of pounding and scraping, and anyway, my nerves are so shot. But regardless, I wanted to do this video today on having a little bit better life in our 60s and beyond. I was reading so many articles about the stages women go through when they are getting older. And, each is unique, in your 50s, in your 60s, and your 70s. And unless you're living it, you don't know. So I thought, oh gosh, when I was reading some of these ideas that they had for us and some of the quotes from people, I was just so excited because I thought this is worth us talking about and sharing our experiences. But there was a quote by Jane Seymour. Do you remember her, the actress? Well, she's still an actress, but she's turning 70. And I loved her in the movie Somewhere in Time. But she had a quote about how she had to learn that regret and guilt and shame did her no good. All it did was age her. And she said forgiveness is the most important thing that she found in her life. Because if we live with anger, it bends our back, it slows our feet, and it allows us to live a life that is less than what we deserve. And when I read that, I thought, I want to learn about that. There is an amazing quote by George Bernard Shaw that pertains to all of us. And the quote is, don't waste your time trying to find yourself. Create yourself. And I love that. And I'm thinking, well, what does that mean to me? What does that mean, create myself? And I had to think back on so much of my life has been trying to find myself. I have journal after journal after journal of me writing about my life, the people in it, my experiences. And I remember once a college professor read part of my journal and he said, "You are a woman that is in such search for herself." And I took that as a compliment. I was 25 years old. Well, anyway, the search is over. I don't want to go through that anymore. I don't want to, pontificate on every little thing that ever happened to me. I don't have to find myself. I know who I am. But I want a different life. So that means I have to create something. And it can be small, it can be big. I can get a new hairdo. There you go. Or I can get a new job. Or I can have new people in my life. But I have to sit down and figure out, what is it that gives me energy? What is it that feeds my soul? What is it that makes me happy? And then that's my roadmap. That's my roadmap to what I want to create. So many women report that they feel like they're in a rut. They can't get off the couch, or, they can't get out of the situation that they're in. They just don't have any energy because they're just so zapped. So it's finding that spark of the day you realize I'm in total control here. And I don't have to spend months and years trying to find myself. I alone have the power to create a new me, a new life, or maybe just a better version. But I think when we feel that we have the control and we have the power over our own lives, wonderful things happen. When I read about depression in older women, there seems to be this common theme of things that truly trigger depression in older women. And one is feeling like they no longer have a true purpose in life. And the other one is feeling that in areas of their life they've failed. Not so much that they feel like a failure. Women still have good, solid self-esteem. But when they look back, and boy, do they look back. I know I do. They look back and they feel that they failed. They failed in certain categories. They failed in money. They failed in perhaps their appearance, and they failed in some of their relationships. I'm 65. This is all the money that I have to live on this month? Or they look in the mirror. I hardly eat anything. Why am I gaining this weight? Or relationships. I miss my brother. I love my brother. He hasn't spoken to me in 5 years. All of these things, or things like these things, make a woman look back and feel like she failed, because that's what women don't externalize anger, they internalize it. They don't externalize, guilt. Like, well, that person is to blame for all my problems. What women most likely do is say, I am to blame for all of my problems. Which, sometimes is a very admirable trait. We take responsibility for our actions. But sometimes I think we take on too much, and so do a lot of the experts. But I was so comforted to read that, so many of the women are tearing up these failure scripts. And they are forcing themselves to see themselves in a different way, in a different light. Seeing themselves as a success, the success that they are. And it takes a little work to kind of tweak it, but you look in the mirror and you say, oh my gosh, I've never looked better. I've got this cute little outfit on, and, I've got this new hairdo, and, I'm feeling good. And you know what? Today, I'm going to pay my life forward. And today, I'm going to call all those family members that I love so much, and it's going to feel so, so fantastic to be that wife, that mother, that grandmother, and really kind of sit back and truly drink in your life and realize what an amazing success you are as a woman. You are 65, 70, 75, 80, and you are still standing, and you are still learning and growing and trying to better yourself and the world. That is an amazing success. It doesn't matter how many wrinkles, it doesn't matter how much you weigh, it doesn't matter what's in your checkbook. What matters, someday, one of your grandchildren or great-grandchildren is going to turn around and say, what was great-grandma like? And hopefully someone will turn and say, she was the most amazing woman. She paid her life forward. She was so kind and so loving. And to the very end, she never stopped learning, and she never stopped trying to be better. That's what I dream. Diary entry, November 7th, 1988. I wrote 2 very good songs this week. That makes 4 this year that I could record. But my mind can picture and my body can feel the moment the lights were dimmed at the studio and I looked into Danny's face. I thought how beautiful he was, like I had fallen in love with this beautiful man in an instant. I think as I get older, I care less and less what people think. I just have to be me, or I'm not going to be happy. So that's a good thing. One of the downsides of getting older is that I am more cautious. And there are times where I'm a little bit more fearful than I used to be, or maybe I just overthink things. But I was reading how important it is for us to step outside our comfort zone, to do something that is hard for us, to do things that, maybe they're a little scary, but they're so good for us. And it broadens our life, and it brings in new things and new people, and it gives us a sense that, we conquered our fear. And I know a lot of you probably don't have any fears. I've got a whole bunch. I mean, I was 24 years old when I got my driver's license. I mean, that's ridiculous. It took me that long to get up the nerve to learn how to drive. My mother never drove, but I guess I was going to follow in her footsteps. And then when I married Ed said, there's no way I'm carting you around for the rest of your life. You're getting a driver's license. And I went, okay. And I got my driver's license. And I conquered my fear. There are some things that I want to do musically next year when we can all get together again. And I know I'm scared to do it. But I'm going to make myself do it. Because I think it would be so good for me to play music in front of a live audience again. Even if that live audience is 10 people, I just think it'd be very good for me. It'd be very good for me to do a lot of different things with music. And we'd have a lot of fun on this channel if we'd all go in the studio. with a band and kind of play a few songs and I don't know, see what you think. You know, my mama was a wonderful woman and she had a heart full of joy and she was such a tender soul. But her life was ruled by her fears. She was so afraid of people. She was so afraid to drive a car, so afraid of a crowd, unless she was on stage. And as she got older, it got worse and worse. And it got to the point where when we would go shopping, she'd love to go shopping, but she started to become afraid of escalators. And it was too hard for her to, go up and down the stairs. She had, really bad asthma. She was overweight, and it was just too dangerous. So she really couldn't go upstairs. Plus, well, there were other issues that kept her from the stairs. But I do remember when my mother was 75 years old, we were at J.C. Penney and we were having a blast. And that was one of our favorite things to do. We would go shopping through the store. And my mom would get so much joy, from the little things that we would pick up. And well, that day they were having a big sale on the second floor. And my mom loved quilts and pillows and they were all on sale, and so we were going to go up to the second floor and shop. We had been talking about it the whole week. Well, when we got there, the elevator was broken. There was no elevator to the second floor, and my mom couldn't take the stairs. There's no way she could make it. And so my mom looked at the escalator. I don't think she'd been on an escalator since she was maybe in her 20s. Well, maybe they didn't have escalators then. I'm not sure. But let's just say a long, long time before I was born. And I said, Mama, let's go upstairs. Let's go shop for that bedding that we like. And I said, they're on sale. And she grabbed my hand and she said, okay. And so she grabbed my hand and I knew she was scared, but she took the escalator up, right? That was a huge deal. So we went shopping and we got out all our little treasures and everything was just going great, right? Yeah. Well, it was time for us to go, and we'd had such a lovely day, and we walked over to the escalator. I didn't think a thing about it because Mom went up, right? Yeah, you probably guessed it. Going up is a lot easier than going down. And she took one look at that escalator, and the blood drained from her face, and her hands got so cold. And I think Mama was having like an anxiety attack. And she grabbed me and she said, I can't do it. I can't go down that escalator. I can't do it. I don't know how I'm going to get home. So she was in the stratosphere. She was so scared. I didn't know what to do. And then somehow, by instinct, I grabbed her and I hugged her and I whispered in her ear, Mama, close your eyes and grab my hand. I've got you. All the way down. I'm going to count to 25 in your ear, and by the time I get to 25, Mama, we're going to be on the first floor, and then we're going to go home and have a good time. And she did it. She grabbed onto me. I held her, and I counted in her ear the whole way down. 1, 2, 3, 25. And Mama was 75 years old. I so wish you could see what her face looked like when we got off that escalator. She opened up her eyes and she had done it. And she was so proud. She had done something that she was so frightened of. I don't think I ever saw my mom smile that big. And she cried and cried. Anyway, Mom was 75 when that incident happened. And from that day on, everything changed in my mom's life. I know you probably think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not, I promise. Mom changed. It's like everything she was afraid of. She was afraid to get on the bus to go to this. She got on the bus. I mean, she did all kinds of things. It's as if that tiny little 25 seconds going down on an escalator, it did something. It proved something to her. And it was beautiful. And she felt empowered and more confident until the day she died, and that was 10 years later. So doing something that we're afraid of, it might be a good thing. A very good thing. Hey everybody, thank you so much for spending this time with us today. I loved every second of it. And if you get time down below in the comments, could you tell us some of the things that you do to live your best life? We would all love that so much. So please have yourself a good, safe, brand new week. And when you're done with your week, come back and see me and Desi, okay? All right, it's a deal. We'll be here.
You like that? Are you getting ice cream all over?